felt like a fraud, like you don't belong, like the pay raise you're getting, you don't deserve it, or like the award that your company is giving to you, you don't deserve it, or like the compliments you're getting from work, you don't deserve it. Or do you sell something? Do you make a product or a service? Are you a creative? And then when people tell you, oh my God, I love your presentation, I love your product, and you feel like, oh my God, I'm not competent. Yes, today we'll be discussing what the imposter syndrome is all about. Yeah, you can use it interchangeably. It can be imposter or impostor. Yeah, it's the same thing. Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam. I am a wife, a mom, a student, and entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining us. I see you guys. I'm a wife, a student, a mom, and an entrepreneur. I started this one as the Give Back series when I first hit my first 500 subscribers, and now I am fully monetized on YouTube. Thank you so much for your wonderful, your incredible support. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. You'll find the link in my bio. Today, I'll be discussing how to overcome or how to deal with the imposter syndrome. I'm sure you must have felt at one point in time or the other in your life, when people say, oh, I love what you do, or somebody gives you a compliment and you find it hard to take it in. You're like, are you sure it's me? One day someone is going to find out that I'm a fraud. You feel like a fraud. Like each time you get a compliment or you get something that you think you don't deserve, in quote, but you deserve it and more. Yes, it shows that there's something awesome about you. And guess what? There are lots of students, almost 98% of students that get admission to Harvard University. They think it's a fraud. They think, I'm sure it's a mistake. How did my name come up here? How did I get in here? I'm sure they will find out later. That is what imposter syndrome is all about. It gives you that, hi, Selifo, thank you for joining. It gives you that feeling that you're a fraud, that very soon somebody will find out that it's a lie, Honestly, that feeling can eat you up. And if care is not taken, it can drown you and, suppress you, the real you for the rest of your life. Yes. And imposter syndrome can actually come in different ways. For a lot of people that work, in the company and they get a pay raise, or they get or something happens at work, they feel, oh, I'm not competent enough to start my own practice. And the truth is, they work so hard at that particular job that they don't see themselves owning, or they don't see themselves being successful when they start out. Yes. And they think that success belongs to some sets of people, but not them. Yes. And that is the reason why a lot of people, they are afraid to be the head in so many things that they find themselves. Yes. And what is imposter syndrome? Let me give you a definition of that. But before I proceed, imposter syndrome is common among women, men and women, and young and old. It doesn't discriminate against gender or anybody at all. So everybody goes through this thing at one point. Almost everybody, yeah, anyways, goes through this thing at one point in time or the other of our lives. And yes, I also want to use this medium to remind you that my masterclass, my YouTube masterclass, is still ongoing. It is happening tomorrow. For people who want to start their YouTube channel, please go ahead and register for my masterclass. Yes. So for some people, when it comes to, hi Toby, thank you for joining. President Brown, thank you for joining. So today I'll be talking about imposter syndrome and how we can deal with it. So for example, I mentioned in your work, in your workplace, when you get compliments or you get an award, you're like, oh, very soon they'll find out I'm a fraud. I'm not worth it. I'm not competent enough. I don't deserve it. Yes. And for some people, when you get compliments for your products, for your looks, for your smartness, for your hard work, you're like, I don't think I deserve it. There are better people. No, you are good. Yes, it's a sign that you are also suffering from imposter syndrome. Yes, and guess what? You don't know how bomb you are. Yeah, that's easy. Let's back up a bit. You actually don't know how bomb you are, even without compliments, or you don't need anybody's validations, without anybody telling you congratulations. You should know how bomb you are, and that is the truth. So always remember and recognize that voice in your head that tells you, hey, you're a fraud. Though. If they find out that this is the this is the real you, they probably wouldn't give you that award. That is imposter syndrome right there. And scientists have also found out that people that have this pattern of feelings, they are perfectionists. Yes, most of them are perfectionists. You want to do things to the last detail. There was a lady that shared her story, before the advent of emails and what have you. She sent a memo to everyone in her office, all the staff, and then she got home around 11 p.m. remember that she made a typo. There was a typographical error, and she drove 1 hour back to work. Yes, she had to retype the memo, redistributed it again, took out the previous one, she redistributed everything again, and then she got back home at 2 a.m. That is imposter syndrome right there. And guess what? Nobody even noticed, like, was there any typo or anything? But when you're a perfectionist, you have that feeling that, oh, I must do everything right. I also suffer from this thing, like once in a while, and it's normal. But you have to recognize that voice that tells you, hey, you're a fraud. You don't deserve this thing. Are you sure you're the one they're actually talking about? Yeah. And this also goes to people that gain admission, maybe PhD admission, or they get admitted into maybe Harvard, UC Berkeley, all the Ivy League schools, and you're like, are you sure there's no mistake? Yes. And there was this lady that also graduated with a PhD. She has a PhD, and then every year when her school sends her this what's it called, fundraising letter, like, okay, you need to give back to this school, she's like, are you sure I'm a doctor? She finds it hard to come to terms with the fact that she is a doctor, yes, that she has a PhD. She feels that one day they will retract this title from her, or one day you'll find out that maybe it was a mistake all along. It is very normal. And it will interest you to also know that Maya Angelou, as successful and as accomplished as she is, she still, suffered this thing, yes, called imposter syndrome. So we need to identify what that thing is. Whenever that voice crops up in our head, we need to say, hey, you, get thee behind me. Yes, that is what the imposter syndrome is all about. And it doesn't really matter what your childhood is like. It doesn't matter. There are people with wonderful childhood that also suffer from this thing called imposter syndrome. Yes, and experts also feel that they need to know every piece of information before they start a project, or they are perfectionists. You know what I mean? Just like that lady who had to drive all the way back, to the office to correct that small typo that nobody ever noticed, like just a comma, in a sentence, and you're like, oh my God, what if they find out? Oh my goodness, they will see me as X, or they'll see me as Y. Oh, and then all kinds of thoughts begin to crop up in their head. Yes. Also, soloists, people that like to, be on their own. Soloists also feel that they have to accomplish everything on their own without anybody's help. That is a fat lie. That's a big fat lie. If you want to find out more about me from my friends, I ask for help all the time. Look, I am not Miss Perfect or Mrs. Perfect. Feel free to ask for help. It is okay. It doesn't make you, less than who you are. Recognize this imposter syndrome that tells you, oh, that tries to it's like a bad friend that most of us have. That bad friend that is always doubting your abilities, that is always doubting your capabilities, and always telling you the wrong words, the wrong things, the things that you don't even need to hear, things that you don't even have to hear in your lifetime about yourself. You hear this bad friend telling you every time. That's crazy voice in your head telling you, oh, what if they find out who you truly is? Like, becoming a speaker. When you get on stage, when maybe a company or a group invites you to come and speak at an event, and you get there and you're like, if only you know who I am, I'm nothing. I don't know why you guys think of me so highly. That is imposter syndrome right there. Yes, when you begin to doubt your capabilities, when you begin to doubt yourself, when you think that you are not enough, and that is the truth. Another thing is that supermen and superwomen tend to push themselves so hard. Yes, you push yourself so hard that, just to prove to people that you are not an imposter. I mean, just to prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are worthy of that thing. You know what I mean? Just to prove that you are not a fraud. Yes. And then they begin to overwork themselves every single time. Thank you, Butterfly. Thank you, Jim Dam. Thank you so much for joining us today. So why do people experience imposter syndrome? Now, a lot of factors actually come in place, with this. It can be factors in their environment, in your environment. It could be maybe when you were growing up, you have this, teacher or this friend or somebody that you looked up to that is always telling you, oh, you are dumb, or, so many factors actually come in place, yes, and that is the truth. You'll be surprised to know that a lot of athletes, great athletes, a lot of great, artists, they still doubt their capabilities, and people, in the world, everybody outside of them sees them as great people, as wonderful people, but deep down in their hearts, they're like, I am not talking about modesty here. Yes, modesty is different. When you are modest, it's different. But when you are telling yourself deep down, aside from you not take that compliment, apart from even saying, oh, that's okay, deep down, imposter syndrome is when deep down of your heart, you are telling yourself that if only you know that I'm a fraud, or if only you know that I'm not worthy, That is imposter syndrome right there. Yes, it is different from just being modest. Yes. So when you begin to doubt yourself, when you begin to doubt your capabilities, your abilities, or yourself, your worth. Yes, that is the word. But when you begin to doubt your own sense of worth, that is when imposter syndrome, that bad friend has kicked in. That bad friend is saying those negative things in your head. So let us talk about how to deal with the imposter syndrome. Most people actually experience moments of doubt, which is normal. Yes, most people, but you have to be able to, surround yourself with friends, mentors that sees the best in you and tells you and believe that thing when they tell you, oh, I think you are brilliant. You're a brilliant author. You're a brilliant, creative. You're a brilliant artist. Believe that. Let that voice play much more in your head than what your imposter friend will tell you. Yes, you need to surround yourself with people that believe in you, people that amplify, your greatness, and then believe what they tell you about you. Apart from that, words of affirmation will also help you to cure yourself of that imposter syndrome, which is the truth. If you have, let me know where you are watching from, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I should have mentioned that earlier. So another thing that you can do is keep a file or emails of things that you have accomplished. Yes, sometimes you need to remind us, because a lot of people actually drown into this world of, hey, I am not worthy. I've never done anything, worthy before in my life. I've never done anything. Like they doubt themselves every single day, and because of that, hi, boss lady, thank you for joining. And because of that, they have believed in that lie that they are not competent, that they are not worthy, that nothing good can come out of them. You know what I mean? So you need to, and when you get a compliment, say thank you. Yes, accept the compliment. Don't say, oh, I don't know, was that for me? Yes, it's for you. Whenever you get good compliments, you accept it. You say thank you, accept it, and then move on. But a lot of people find it difficult to accept compliment, but they find it easier to accept what the imposter is saying to them. They find it hard to get rid of that imposter syndrome. When that thing tells them something negative about them, they believe. It's easy for them to really kick into that. But honestly, it will do you much, much more harm than good. And also, when reframe your thoughts. It's something that you can also do. Try as much as possible to have a positive mindset about yourself. Yes, tell yourself those positive things every single day. In fact, if possible, remind yourself of those awesome things that you have always done right from when you were little. Yes, you have to always remind yourself, oh, you did this thing and you kicked it, like you killed it. You killed the game when you did this thing. Oh, you chaired this thing, and then when you handled this thing, this project, it was a successful one. Remind yourself. Yes, we need to remind ourselves of those awesome things that we have always done or that we have done in the past. Remind yourselves of those things, and guess what? You can do greater things. Yes, you can do awesome things. People have actually shared experiences of how they start a business, how they intend to start a business, and then they start the business, and then they begin to sell whatever product or service that they render. And then when they get compliments or when they get good reviews, they're like, are you sure it's me? They feel like a fraud. That is what the imposter syndrome does to you. It makes you feel like you are not competent. It makes you feel like you are not, you are not enough, or that you are not worthy, or that you are not worth it. So you have to constantly remind yourself, yes, Hauwaji, it is true. You have to constantly remind yourself that you are not a fraud, that you are awesome, yes, and you are killing it in your game, that you are that incredible artist, you are that wonderful student, your grade, you are really worth your grades. Some people find A's in their grades and they're like, are you sure it's me? Are you sure it's not a fraud? Are you sure they won't, come back to find out that this is not me, this is not my real work? Yes, that is the imposter syndrome right there. And these are the ways by which you can actually combat or deal with that imposter syndrome. Yes, and it is very common among highly effective people, successful people. I kid you not. Yes, successful people. In fact, there's a YouTuber that I also, hi Kabamiki, thank you for joining. There's a YouTuber that I love so much, and I appreciate her. And there were times that she shared her stories of how when she said, oh, I want to hit this milestone, and when she says it, she doesn't believe it. But her husband will say, yes, that is what you are. Yes, you will even do more. Yes, when you have lots of positive people around you, you are able to combat that imposter syndrome in your head. That syndrome, that's that bad friend that is always telling you, hey, what are you you are thinking highly of yourself. Who are you? So you need to get rid of that by surrounding yourself with the right set of people and receive the compliments. Yes, so each time they compliment you, accept that compliment and don't say, are you sure it's for me? Are you sure I'm worth it? Yes, you are, and more. And that is the truth. So I just want to I want to make this session as short as possible because we're going to have another wonderful episode next week. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I'll be dropping this video on YouTube so that people who were unable to catch up would catch the replay on YouTube. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me. If you also want to start a YouTube channel, don't forget my masterclass is still on. Please take advantage of the masterclass coming up tomorrow. Find the link in bio. Yes, it's still in my bio, and today is actually the last day for registration. So if you want to start your own YouTube channel in 2021, this is the time to make it happen. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I'll see you again next week by God's grace with another powerful episode of Life and Business Hacks with Chassis Everything. I remain your girl Chassis. Have a beautiful day and God bless you. Bye.